So join me, if you will, in an opening treatment. I'll do this in the first person and invite you to take it for yourselves in the first person. So we gather here in one place, in one consciousness, in one mind, knowing there is only one mind, there is only one infinite intelligence, one universal presence. We call it God, we call it spirit, we call it all kinds of things, but whatever we call it, it's still the same thing. It always has been and always will be. The very essence of life itself within us and with everything around us. So we move into this time together with our hearts open and our minds open, prepared for some new ideas that bubble up from inside of each of us, as well as in response to the things happening on screen and in our world around us. We allow ourselves to use this as a time to step aside from the typical way of thinking, the usual way of the world, and allow ourselves to focus at a higher level, at a deeper level of truth. We do this with ease, with grace. We do this because it is ours to do. We do it with joy. And I'm in great gratitude for everyone who's joined us, everyone who's here, and all of those who will hear this at any time now or in the present or in the future. So in this gratitude for all of you, I can release this treatment now, knowing this work is complete for now, for this part. I'll let it be so as we step into the manifestation, and so it is. So the full expression of this treatment happens as we work together and deal with and know one another through this next hour. We're going to do some different things, some exciting things, I think. Exciting to me, so come along for the ride. You may find them that way. I want to welcome you. This is the Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown Atlanta, and I am very grateful that you're joining us. I'm grateful that you're here. If it's your first time with us, a special thank you and a special welcome. If you're hearing us for the first time, a special welcome. I would let you know that we are a center that is really dedicated to the idea that there is one mind and that there are basic spiritual principles that are also part of natural law that are manifesting through the world and are always present regardless of what's happening in the world around us. And we are a center that is dedicated to understanding and practicing those spiritual principles in our lives for ourselves and for each other. We are dedicated to the idea of teaching and learning skills and abilities to do that, learning how to bring this into our everyday lives, into our every situation. We are never alone. There's no reason to think we're alone. And this allows us the opportunity to practice that connectedness and that togetherness. So I welcome you. I am grateful that you're here, and I thank you for your participation today. We will try some different things with the screen. It's going to be fun. It may be there, if there are glitches along the way, well, not only are we learning, but the entire internet system is learning. And at this time on a Sunday morning, every center and church in the world just about is doing this in one version or another. So bear with us if there are those, but let's just know together it all works smoothly. Use the quiet time if it occurs as a meditation moment for yourself. Lots of deep breaths, lots of settling in. It's a good thing. So if you will now join me as we share together what our belief system is built on. These are the Declaration of Principles. You will find them on the screen, and they were written by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, at a time whenever he was just asked kind of on the spur of the moment, what do you believe? And he sat down and jotted them down, later refined them a little, but not much. And these are the core ideas that we work with, that we measure ourselves against, and that we decide how much or how little of it we truly believe. So if you'd like to, I will read them aloud. If you choose to read them with me, that's wonderful. Just keep yourself muted or it'll be utterly chaos on the sound system. So here we go. I believe in one God, one absolute power and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. And so it is. Okay, and at this time, we're going to I'm asking one of our practitioners who is a former board member and a wonderful participant in this teaching to come forward and share as he is led, along with and then lead us in a more lengthy and focused spiritual mind treatment. So I give you Lee Huffman.
Thank you, Bob. This is a difficult one, given everything that's going on in the world around us. So I'm going to ask Vance to give me a thumbs up if I'm coming in okay. Thank you. And it's not because there's not much written on this. It's because there is so much written on the situations that we're going through right now. You know, there's fear, there's concern about disease, there's joy for people that are just coming closer together because of this. And so there's so much that we could do here. And when that happens, I have a tendency to narrow my search down to the meditations in the Science of Mind textbook. This one here. So between pages 507 and 567, there's 60 pages of meditation. If you're looking for something to get comfort, then it's a good place to go. But it's still hard. So the one I chose is on 508, and it is titled, I Do Not Inherit Disease. There is no inherited tendency to disease or ill health. I am born a pure spirit. False ideas cannot be transmitted from one to another, and I am free from race suggestion. My life is from above. I remember that I was always perfect and complete. An inner light shines forth and frees me from the bonds of all false belief. I came from spirit. This reading and so many readings in this textbook and then other books written by people on this subject is just fabulous. And being that we all should be close to home, then it's a good time to pull those books off the shelves and find what the universe is speaking to us. So I'm going to do a spiritual mind treatment, which most of you know is a affirmative prayer where we speak the truth as to what we understand and know about what's happening in the world around us. And we know that spirit is with us. So if you would, I'll speak this in the first person as Bob did earlier in the treatment. And if you want to take any part of it for yourself, please do so. If there's something that doesn't resonate with you, please let that go and find what is there for you. So let's all relax and take a deep breath. And know this with me, if you will. I know that there is one universal source, one spark that set a fire and created everything there is before anything else was present. There was what I call source, what we call God, what we call love. Out of this desire to grow and to express love and to create everything around us, source spoke its mind and took from itself and created all that there is. All the planets, all the stars, everything in between came from source. Everything on this solar system was once and still is today part of Source. I know that Source is on this planet because it is this planet. I know that it is in every room that we are sitting in right now. It is here with me. It is me, and I am Source because that's where we all came from. Knowing this, I know that even the coronavirus is Source, so it will not fight against us if we do not desire, if we do not wish it to come. There is nothing that can come against us. There may be a little hiccup, there may be a little feeling that is not right, but we can come back to knowing that we are Source, that we are Spirit, that God is within each one of us. And we know this to be true. I know this to be true for me. I know that today is a wonderful day. It is beautiful, it is cleansing, and every breath I take cleanses my body. It does not bring anything into it that is not desired. There is nothing in this universe that will take me down. I breathe in, knowing that life is mine, that love is mine, that fellowship is mine, that everything around me is mine and is good, for that is what God does. I know that this day is perfect, and what I hear on the news or someone speaks to me that is not perfect, I know that I can release that and let it go, let it be gone, so it won't touch anyone and definitely will not touch me. I know this because I know that Source wants the best for me. I know that I breathe in Source, and I enjoy Source. And Source is healthy. Source has no disease. Source has nothing negative against me. It is all good. And I smile when I feel it. I know it fills my body with joy. So I look forward to this message, to this week ahead, knowing that everything around me, everything in this world is getting better and it's healing rapidly. And I will see this wonderful healing come across this earth. For there is no disease that can hold us down. So I release these words knowing that it's true for myself and true for all those around me and true for all those who hear it. I release the words saying all is well, and so it is.
Karen Drucker has offered all of her music for us to use at this time during these broadcasts, as well as in the future in our in-person services, and I'm very grateful to her for that. So enjoy this piece. You might even want to sing along since nobody else can hear you.
All is well. All is well. I can rest. All is well. All is well. I can rest. I am safe. All is well. All is well. I can rest. I am safe. All is well. All is well. I can rest. I am safe. All is well. 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 I can rest. I am safe. All is well. All is well. I can rest. All is well. All is well. I can rest. I see all is well. I can rest. I am safe. All is well. 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 All is how sweet the sound. All is
All right. So all is well. Amazing grace. You know, in some ways, without getting into a long theological discussion here, amazing grace, all is well is kind of means the same thing. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty wonderful. So as I said, welcome. I'm glad you're with us. This is an interesting time. We have predetermined and pre-decided actually talks and themes for each week this year, and we have chosen to participate in that. And our theme this week is called Nurture is as Strength. And the idea of this talk was to really look at this whole distortion that we seem to have in our culture about what is strength, where strength so often is caught up in this idea of masculine versus feminine, as if men are strong and women are the weaker sex, all that nonsense. And it is nonsense. Guys, all you got to do is witness childbirth and you'll know it's nonsense. It will absolutely convince you of that, if nothing else will. We don't go through anything like that, and we don't have the strength to do it if we had to. So I'm going to choose today, however, to set part of this aside and just to simply remind us that strength shows up in all forms. In what is typically known as nurture, which often is associated with the feminine, although it is not held there, because we all have within us the capacity for all things that exist in spirit. But what is true is that within each of us there is there's a great ability to nurture, and that is because we have all been nurtured ourselves, and it is our very essence to be nurtured. What is true, according to Ernest Holmes, is that we each live in a faith that there is a presence and power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. I know that this presence is all-knowing and all-power, and is always right where I am. We've heard the beginning part of this many times. There's a presence and a power greater than I am, and I can use it. We've also heard it referred to as a presence and power greater than I am, and it can use me. However, the truth is, this is also true as well, that it nurtures and supports us. It fills us and surrounds us with a greater truth. It allows us to come forward with knowing that we are not alone. And from within that truth within us, we are able then to share it with other people. So I want to kind of take off on that and just remind us that that's the truth of who we are. And it shows up everywhere, that no matter how much change and chaos there may appear to be, that this ability to, this dynamic spiritual truth, that within us all there is a nurturing power, there's a nurturing force that not only nurtures us, but empowers us to nurture each other. The whole idea of that was voiced to me this week really well by a friend of mine who's also a minister, and she's in the church in Medford, Oregon, and she decided that she was changing this title today from nurture as a strength to we're all together in the chrysalis. So I'm going to kind of play with that idea a little bit and go forward with it. See, the chrysalis is the exoskeleton of the body of a butterfly when it begins to make the shift from caterpillar to butterfly. And it is a powerful sort of thing. Give me a second. And there's so many parallels with what's happening here and what's happening in our world today, and for each of us as we together share the chrysalis. The process is this beautiful little creature is simply doing its life. And it has within it natural things, natural beingness, natural processes that are put there by an infinite intelligence that's far greater than it is, and perhaps far greater than it knows. And it reaches a certain point, such as where you're seeing it now, where it begins to form this protective shell around it, an exoskeleton, on the outside, not the inside. And an amazing thing happens when that happens. It begins to release enzymes inside of its body. And those enzymes begin to eat away at all of the normal processing structures that are there. It breaks up all of its ability to crawl. It dissolves its muscles, its inner skeletal process, as it simply hangs around in this spot. That's why it anchors itself so well to the bush, because it can't move anymore other than the movement you see. And as this occurs, it forms this complete chrysalis. Now, inside the chrysalis, there are a couple of things happening. One is these enzymes have been released and they're dissolving all of the known familiar parts. The ability to crawl, the ability to fly, the ability to meet as a group, the ability to do all those things that we are so accustomed to, just like the little caterpillar is accustomed to. But there's something else that happens too. And the other thing that happens is the formation of what are known as imaginal discs, which are microscopic discs of about 50 cells that are released. The enzyme not only starts to dissolve what was, but it releases those imaginal discs to start taking action. And what happens with that, they begin to take action, and each disc carries the blueprint for a body part for a full-blown monarch. And as that disc does its job, and what it does is it works by attracting to it everything that is like it. So the disc becomes larger and larger and larger and larger until it begins to take the shape of a wing or a leg or a toe or whatever part of this amazing creature it becomes. It rapidly forms this new body. It does it in about 2 weeks. It's pretty amazing to go from 50 cells to a wing in 2 weeks. But it does this. And as it does it, it opens itself then to great possibility, great freedom, and a great future. Now, this same thing is true for us. Pretty cool, huh? See, we are all together now inside this gigantic chrysalis called Mother Earth, where the whole planet is going through a metamorphosis of sorts. Maybe it will be permanent, maybe not. Some aspects of it, I think, will always be with us going forward. But in the short haul, and in the meantime, there are things that are going away for good. Now, I'm not going to try to figure out what those are at this point. You'll figure them out as we move forward in life and as we get through this whole process together. But what's wonderful is, just like the caterpillar, we have within us, we have built into us, by the grace of God, by the goodness of God, we have the ability to do that transformation, to allow our cells to change, to allow the old structures that we use to create our life and to live our lives and to operate in our lives, to dissolve. Enzymes are showing up. Maybe it's the virus itself, maybe it's our reactions to the virus, but many things are showing up in our world right now to dissolve the old systems the way they were. And there are also amazing imaginal discs showing up. Imagine if this happened a few years ago before we had the internet. We were just shut down for 6 weeks. That wouldn't be any fun. But the way it is now, we have created an imaginal disc to be prepared to stay in touch with each other over space and time, from the joy and beauty and ease of our own homes, missing the personal connection, yes. That part's part of what dissolved, but the imaginal disc of internet connection like this, of Zoom, which has been around less than 5 years, to allow us to do this. And I just think it's absolutely incredible. It's part of that creative, imaginative universe in which we live that is caring for us and nurturing us. Somewhere along the way, some intelligence within spirit decided that we might need this, and here we are. We were beginning to learn how to use it. Well, wow, we're in high gear on all of that. We have within us the ability to adapt and change and find new ways to continue to do what matters to us, which is connect with each other and love each other and find ways to express that. I went out, I couldn't stand being in the house any longer, so I went for a drive yesterday. And as I was driving down through one of my favorite little areas near my house, down along a creek, in the front yard, there were a couple of kids. They were probably 11, 12 years old. And they were out front painting, really elaborately and beautifully painting this big sign. It was probably 4 feet tall and 3 feet wide, that had a really elaborate thing on it that said, "You're not alone." And I stopped and asked them what they were going to do with it. They weren't going to do anything with it. They were going to leave it in their front yard for anybody to see, to realize no matter what we're going through, you're not alone. We have that power within us to be that creative and to create our lives according to our idea of it. There is nothing missing in our lives now or ever. So I want to share with you another picture. Where did it go? Why can't I see it? Come on. My apologies, folks. My share function seems to have stopped, but oh well, I won't share this with you after all. I'll tell you about it instead. There is this great idea from Ernest Holmes that says we have within us the power to create. And it is our faith and our trust in this power of spirit that allows us to create something out of nothing. And the power and the way that we do that is the same way the butterfly does it. The caterpillar becoming the butterfly. We have within us these imaginal cells. And if we think of them in consciousness as what Thomas Troward calls spiritual prototypes, what Ernest called mental equivalents, we get an idea and we begin to establish and focus and keep our attention on that idea. And as we do, we let the enzymes dissolve away anything that isn't like it. And instead, we turn our attention more and more to this idea. And as we do, the idea starts collecting things to it. This happens in the womb of life, in that subjective, subconscious mind. And it begins to draw to it anything and everything that is like it and doesn't pay any attention to the things that aren't. So if we get a greater idea of our health and we continue to focus with that, the ideas of fear, the ideas of illness, the ideas that no longer support that simply drift away. And as they do that, what comes in place fully and completely for us then is a greater and greater experience of health. If we create and build that idea that Lee spoke to so well earlier, of that we are safe and there's nothing in the world to be against us. We do that by creating that idea, by thinking that idea, by feeling that idea, by looking for evidence of how that's true, of all of the things that are for us, how life is supporting us in so many ways. And as we do that, we begin to get the idea that maybe there's more. And as we put our faith in that idea, it attracts to us all of those other ideas that support it until there's enough of a spiritual prototype there to create an experience that goes along with that. Just like the butterfly with their imaginal discs starting out so small and growing into a wing or the ability to fly and all of that. That's a natural part of who we are. We don't have to do anything to earn it. We don't have to make it happen. We just have to learn how to use it. And we use it by putting our attention and our focus in that place and in that goodness and in that awesome power. And so I have a couple of questions for you. Take a moment. If you got something in front of you to write on, jot it down. If not, that's fine. You maybe even put it in the chat. That'd be an interesting idea. So what are some of your imaginal discs right now that you are reaching for and that you're knowing about yourself, that are maybe tiny little ideas that you're counting on going bigger and bigger and bigger? Maybe they're thoughts that you haven't yet seen happen, but you would sure love to be that kind of a butterfly, despite whatever may be going on in the world around you. Start to think about those and pay attention to them. But you know, before those can be released, the other thing that happens in consciousness is that deconstructive enzyme gets released. Those things that would dissolve away the old ideas. Like, what are the old ideas that need to dissolve away in order to make room for the discs of greater idea, greater thought, greater life to unfold for you? So it's kind of like a T-chart. Line down the middle. These are the discs. These are those enzymes. For me, it's things like you may want to release fear of illness or fear of your own ability and capacity to continue to go and grow regardless of what's happening in the world. Maybe your fear of your prosperity going away, which we're getting bombarded with that every day. And people are experiencing it. There's no question about it. Well, they're experiencing the loss of jobs and the loss of income. The loss of prosperity can never really happen to any of us It's not possible to be alive in the universe and lose our prosperity. But we can certainly, so that if it shifts and changes, it's just changing form. The caterpillar is dissolving into something greater, something new, the potential for something new. But what that something new becomes is going to be dependent on our mind's imaginal selves, our imaginal beliefs, as we begin to create that new. So part of what needs to dissolve away is any belief that we can be limited, lack, or have anything fully taken away from us. One of the greatest fears people have is that whatever's going on is not ever going to get better. It's only going to get worse. I hereby declare that one dissolved now. I'm releasing that enzyme in every one of you to say, no, eat that one away. Let those structures and beliefs around that begin to dissolve right now. It will get better. It can get better. It must get better. And you can choose for it to, whatever the it is. So we have those dissolving enzymes, but the more important piece, the piece to put more attention on, because when they get activated and released, they begin to unfold with great power and continues that dissolving enzyme function. Wow. So here are some things. Putting my business online and spreading the message of authentic beauty. Yeah. I'm just looking at the chat really quick just to see what you're saying back to me. I support myself in my retirement. Hey, amen. I can easily move to Europe. I can release everything I have and everything I've acquired here to be free to do that. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. So whatever thoughts and ideas, if you want to put them in the chat, feel free. If not, that's okay too. But to take the idea bigger and bigger for you. And while, if you have more time right now, I personally don't. I thought, you hear about all this, everybody's got so much time on their hands. Well, I'd sure like to know who they are and how they do it, because I'm working twice as much time and twice as hard, because I'm learning a whole new way of being present with people through this system, learning how to not only do this Sunday morning piece, but a lot of other connecting and ways of connecting through the internet and through other means of hellos. I mean, I'm thinking about making a sign for my balcony that says this is something similar to what the kids were doing. I think it's a great idea. People are talking to each other out in my parking lot, across the parking lot to one another, not getting close to each other, shouting back and forth, sharing all kinds of thoughts and ideas. People that I don't think ever talked to each other before. At least I never saw it. Maybe they're just louder now. I don't know. But there are, there's things happening, things we can do, and ways we can use our time. So if you have some extra time, this would be a good time to start that tea list. What are your imaginal discs that you're putting into place? And then come back to those and nurture them and focus on them and free them to create and to grow more and more energy. I think of things like, I have the power to create my own experience by being a co-creator with the infinite. The power of life in me is fulfilled and expanded at every moment. I'm always connected to family and friends and others. My life is rich. My abundance flourishes. And I recognize the good in everything, even this pesky virus. Lee said that earlier. There's an interesting, I tried to find it to put it up for you, but there's an interesting video going around out of the Netherlands that is a praise for the virus. And it talks about what the virus is, the gifts that it has given us. It has connected us with each other. It has awakened people's awareness of how gifted and rich and powerful and abundant we are with all that we have, that suddenly feels a little wobbly and threatened. And so our appreciation goes up. Our appreciation for how important health is for every individual. So it's brought a lot of positives as well. Not suggesting you should get it. I've already had my part in it, and that is I'm understanding its value, so I don't need to have it in order to get that. And the structure that is in all of that, you know, we're restructuring how we interconnect, just as the body of the butterfly is restructured. So, so I invite you, if, among other assignments for this week, if you have extra time, you may want to consider taking another look at the chapter on faith in the Science of Mind textbook. It's the 10th chapter, and it's where the quotes that I was going to show you today came from, and it's where the quotes that I'm speaking from come from. It's a really powerful chapter. It not only talks about what is faith, it talks about how we build it, and we build it just the way these imaginal cells grow and build. It is a natural nature part of who we are, and it doesn't have to it's not just about religion, or our religious beliefs or our spiritual beliefs. Those are just the top of the iceberg in a way. The real powerful ones are what is our faith in ourselves? What about our faith in each other? What about our faith in the systems of life to support us? So I'm going to try one more time to share. There it is. I'm going to share my screen because I want to give you a parting quote. If one will have faith in oneself, and the italics are my edits, faith in one's fellow man, in the universe, and in God, that faith will light the place in which one finds oneself. And by the light of this faith, will be able to see that all is good, and that the light shed by this faith will light the way for others. I leave you with my favorite quote, and I don't know who said it first, but when you come to the end of the light you have known, when I come to the end of the light I have known, my faith lets me step forward into the darkness, and my feet will either find solid ground or I will fly. And I invite you all to join me in flying or walking or standing in solid ground, whichever works for you. If you will, join me as we do a bit of quiet meditation, taking these ideas into our consciousness with clarity and ease. So I recognize and know that I am in a personal transformation, brought on partly by the world around me and partly by my own inner growth. And I know that as with all of life, the forms are changing, the ways that I do things may be changing. But the essence of life, the truth of who and what I am, does not change and cannot. I recognize myself as a bringer of light, light to my own path and light to the paths of others. I recognize that the one power that is God, that is light, that is life, is expressing itself as me right here, right now, and for all. This power unfolds with ease, with grace. I am motivated to know what is mine to do in any given moment or time. I feel the inner nudge that lets me know this is mine now. I go deep within the spirit of my own consciousness, as I contemplate life and contemplate the deeper truths of what this really is all about for me, as I open up to the whisperings of spirit in my own consciousness, as I go quiet. And I trust, fully trust, this infinite power in which I live, move, and have my being unfolds with ease, with grace, and with goodness. This is my truth. I let it be, and so it is. Deep breath, everyone. Wonderful time to be together. So this is normally when I introduce the offering. I'm still going to do that. And there it is. Great. The website has gone up in the chat for where you go to donate. We appreciate your contributions. We still have expenses through this time. And the ongoing growth of our center is really important for the ongoing growth of this teaching in this place. This is a great time for us to build up some reserves. I invite you to participate in that project simply as you put your wonderful contributions. I'm grateful to all of you who do this regularly online already, or in whatever form you do it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And if you want to, if you choose to, I invite you in the muted living room in which you live to join me in reading together our affirmation for prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. And I think we have a little more Karen Drucker coming up.
Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Every time I open my heart, I receive all that I need. Knowing that God is my soul, I relax and let it flow. I know that money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I got money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I got money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. And I have all I need. It's all inside of me. I just ask and let go, and let spirit direct the flow. And I know that money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I got money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. So much money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I got money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. So much money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. I got money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. So much money. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. effortlessly money is coming to me.
Money is coming to me abundantly and effortlessly. That's a wonderful song. She's also got another one called Money Multiplies Like Bunnies. So that one's next week. We'll hear that then. I want to just give you a couple of announcements to remind you to keep an eye on our website, cslmidtown.org. You also saw it in the chat just a few moments ago. Thank you, Cynthia. And it will carry events and ideas and things that we're going to be doing going forward to make sure we stay connected, or to give you resources for growth during this time, for forming those wonderful new butterfly parts. And one of them is a meditation this afternoon by Craig. Oh dear, I just lost his name. It's a very interesting secular approach to meditation. So if you've not experienced meditation, or if you'd like to get some new ideas for it, I encourage you to Craig Hamilton to check that out on the website, and it'll tell you how to get into that meditation this afternoon. Would also want to let you know that coming up in the next couple of weeks, I'll be starting classes. We'll have a class on visioning, and I'm going to offer visioning. I'm going to offer building a healing consciousness, and we'll run with whatever class gets the most response. So, or whatever, if both of them, if we have enough people interested in them. They will be done through this same modality, through online work, and each of them is an 8-week class. And all the information will be up very soon. The other thing to let you know is that on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., I'm doing a check-in, a bringing you a couple of good ideas briefly, and then a check-in on how people are doing, and a treatment or prayer, affirmative prayer every Tuesday. We may expand that to more days of the week. I'll know more of that later today. And again, watch the website, because it's going to keep you up abreast of what's going on. Also on Thursday afternoon at 6 p.m., a similar kind of thing, where we do an open discussion and a spiritual mind treatment. So we had good time with that last week, and invite you to consider it again this week. So the classes, when they come up, may interfere with one of those, but we'll see. Right now I'm looking at Wednesday night and Thursday night for class. So watch for those things. Know that it's all unfolding with perfect ease and grace. And if you'd like to, then join me in our closing. I leave this place knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into a world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is.